Stand by, stream starting, I hope. This sort of thing's always a gamble. Waiting Twitch confirmation. Yay. Hello everyone and welcome to another Kerbal Space Program stream. It has been far too long. But here we are. Let's get some Kerbal Navy stuff happening. First off, we are going to be building the Curtis P-40 Warhawk. Or Kitty Hawk, depending on which version you're talking about. So, cool. Oh yeah, Patriot's still there. So let's just jump right into it. So, P-40 Curtis Warhawk. For quite a while, it was the Australian Air Force's main aircraft in the Pacific theater of World War II. Hey Shiel, nice to see you bright and early. Tail in this thing's going to be interesting. Actually, permit me a second. I'm going to see if I can get the reference sheet that I'm using up in this video. Should be that. Yay! Alright. There we go. Now y'all can see what I'm actually doing. Yeah. Nice big tailplane. We'll deal with that for now. Wow, 4 people here already. Awesome! Just scratch that. Dirt. Come on. About there. I apologize for any stuttering that happens. My computer is not the best at running many different high-intensity programs at the same time. Right, so that's horizontal stabilizer. Yeah, it's always annoying when you get that one mod that screws everything up. The joys of modding Bethesda games. Yeah, we'll deal. There we are. Okay, so that's the tail. Fairly well done, I think. Now let's move on to the business end. Let's see, I think I'll use the pre-cooler. My favorite part for doing engines. Because these vents and things, they just look like panels. They're awesome. Let's see, it's a 3-bladed propeller. Yeah, why not? Let's use the radial engine, and I'll do some shenanigans with a nose piece. Yeah, that's what we're doing. There it is. Little cubic octagonal strut. Nose piece. Scaled. Ooh, ouch. 137 mods that you've got to dig through to find the one that's screwing everything up. Man, hope you find it. Come on, scale, work. There we go. Now let's dive on in, find the part I need. There we go, that's not too bad, I don't think. Now the Warhawk also has the intercooler intake down here, so radial intake. Yeah, about there's good. Now. Yeah, that's a good thing to do. Is sort of cull the load order of things you don't use. I've got to do that for Fallout 4 one of these days. Alright, this is tricky. Because, yes, the intercooler does have this sort of intake, but it's also got this bit here in the back. You know what? Let's try a different approach. Man, there needs to be half length of these tanks. Seriously, squad, get on that. Give us half length fuselage tanks. That will have to do. Next, there's this thing here. Not entirely sure what that is. I'm going to say it's probably some sort of oil cooler or something. Or oil tank, rather. Whatever it is, I'll just use it for fuel. Can now have too much fuel. That is incorrect, of course you can. Okay. Nice. And I can already foresee this thing flogging about, so struts. Always good to have struts. Now, let's turn this upside down, because then that'll give the guns I'm about to put on this thing a nice clear shot. And when I get to put the gear on, It gives me a nice reference for the ground clearance I need. So, wait a minute. Wikipedia page. What is this thing's armament? 650 cals in the wings. Okay. So, got lots of windows. There we go. Man, 2 screens is somehow not enough. There's also this intake thing up here. I thought this would be a nice, simple little build. Ooh, how I was wrong. Well, really, how many of my builds are actually as simple as I imagine them to be? Answer, of course, none. Gotta love tweak scale. Tweak scale and Kerbal Engineer are probably my favorite mods for this game. There we go. If for some reason this reference shows it with cannon on the top of the engine cowl as opposed to in the wings, that's weird. Okay, now we can move on to the wings, which are interesting in and of themselves. They're pretty well straight on the leading edge. I know how I'm going to do these. The same way I did the wings for the F-82 Twin Mustang. Does that look... No. Easy way to tell if they're long enough. Bring the root down to its final position. Scoot it in so that it's there. Man, it's almost a 0. And that is half of these too long. There we are. Very nice. Now, just duplicate that. Swing it around. There. I suppose I should take this time to actually explain what the keyboard shortcuts are that I'm using. To duplicate this, it's just Alt-click, and that copies any part. Angle snapping, toggled with C, so that's, so like if I get this, see it's nice and smooth, place in there, can put it anywhere. If I have C, it snaps to 15-degree increments. If I hold Shift, those increments go down to 5 degrees. And the same thing applies to the rotation gizmo accessed with 3. So, angle snapping turned on, you can see it down here, and not holding Shift, snaps to 15 degrees. With Shift, snaps to 5 degrees. Turn off angle snapping, and it's whatever. And then the offset gizmo is also very useful to change its frame of reference between absolute and part relative. it's F, and then you can just scoot it around wherever it goes. To reset to the original position, it's just spacebar. Hopefully that is helpful and not completely gibberish. Hopefully. Right, flaps need to go down. There we are. Interesting, I think the Warhawk has split flaps. It's something I haven't built before. And then just offset those down a bit. Alt click, spacebar. And you can rotate it around before you place it with WASD. Spacebar resets it again. Alright. So let's bring it in a bit. There. Now, split flaps. Yay! Probably getting a lot of stutter at this point. Again, my apologies. Not a lot I can do. Ew, no. Guess I'll just have to use this bit. For the ailerons. There. And set to roll. Very nice. My apologies. Okay. And of course, fuselage blending at the root. Just strut my stuff. It's also a good idea, especially for angled parts like what this wing is going to be, to get all the detail that you want on it before you rotate it. Because, let's give you an example. Stick another wing piece on here. If it is canted or rotated, doesn't usually like to behave when placing other things on, especially if it's not snap angled. I hope I'm explaining myself good, but basically, if a part is angled, it can be tricky to get other parts to go onto it after the fact cleanly. And of course, you can move the camera in and clip through parts to place things where you want them. Positioning. How is the positioning? So about perfect. Last little thing. This part on the end of the wing. We'll just square off the wing tip. Because otherwise it's like that and weird. Cool. And yes, you do get these fuzzy little textures. I just deal with that because it's easier than... Basically, I get the outline looking the way I want, and then just deal with everything else afterwards. Landing gear time! So, the wheels face outboard, and they're actually very close to the center line. The wheels face outboard and retract aft. And they hang straight down. Now, also, shift click on a part grabs the whole thing. You don't have to click the root part, because obviously if you just normal click it, it'll just take the part off. If you click the root part, you can move the whole lot. If you shift click, you can move the whole lot by any part. Alright, so how is... Oh, the ground clearance is actually good. And right here, you can obviously tell landing gear is far too far apart, even though it's placed in the same relation to the root extensions, which means I have to finagle these back to where they ought to be, and then shift these inboard to about there. Right? Right. Cool. And of course, what tail dragger would be complete without a tail wheel? If I can find it, there we are. Alright, let's get up in here. Oh, how'd that happen? Alright, scaled, unlock, invert. There we go. Now, obviously it looks a bit weird because the wings do not yet have dihedral. The adjustable landing gear mod has this handy dandy thing called the alignment guide. Now just go rotate gizmo without angle snapping, grab the handle, move the mouse out here, give myself more resolution, and then you can see up here the angle counter. So let's say 3 degree. Yep, 3 degrees looks about right. Any more than that, and it'll be weird. And of course, the landing gear legs are perfectly straight, so we just put the rotate gizmo. Yeah, back shield, nice. Put the rotate gizmo on the landing gear, and we can just rotate it back to 0. Adjustable landing gear is probably basically my top 3 mods: Twig Scale, Kerbal Engineer, and adjustable landing gear. Let's try that again. With those 3 mods, you can build just about anything you ever want. And of course, I forgot to arm this thing before I angled the wings. And here's what I was talking about before. So it's very difficult to get the parts to line up once they're angled like this. But I have a trick. So this thing is armed with 6 50 cal machine guns. BD Armory has the Browning 50 cal and M2, which is basically what these aircraft used. So just a cubic octagonal strut. It's placed relative to absolute, so that means these guns are all pointing dead straight. do a little bit of shenanigans here to get them looking all cool. Now I can hide a lot of them in the wing. Ta-da! Is that a standard engine or a mod? That is a mod. Kerbal Aircraft Extension, I believe? KAX. Google it, install it, love it. It basically adds prop engines. You got your sport engine, a radial, which is what this is, an electric engine, rotors, which I love, as well as turboprops and a jump jet engine. It also adds a new cockpit based on the Orion and fuselage and tailpieces to match. Back wheel so tiny, yep, 2E scale helps with that, but if you look up here, it pretty well matches. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, that tail wheel looks like it retracts aft, so we'll spin this around so that it also retracts aft. Yes, I'm OCD about the functions of my Kerbal aircraft. And of course now, with the angled wings, the ground clearance will have changed, but it is still acceptable. Yeah, let's add the exhausts. Where is Spider? Spider, thank you. So it is a 12-cylinder engine, which means I need 6 of these. In fact, let's place them up here. Here. Let's get them all nice and close. And it looks like I might scrape here. Easy way to test. Let's just go like that. And nope, even sitting right down on the suspension, it's not scraping. That is a legitimate concern, however. So, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 2 equals 12. Exhaust for each cylinder. Get back there. Wish this text would get out of the way. There's one thing I don't like about the gizmos is that it always gives this tooltip. Actually, no, it does have 6 exhausts. Alright, this is a pretty good Kitty Hawk. The KSP Warhawk. Now to put some actual identification on this thing, so it doesn't get shot by its allies. No, get the big one. There we go. Put the little one on top. There we are. There. More booster. I might play around with some JTO once I'm done with this, because once we're done with this, we're going to jump over to 1.2, the new version, and try out some carriers. Loading times. Alright. Here we are with Valentina. Load those physics. God damn. You know what? I think you might be right. I think it's scraping. Oh well. Nothing to it but to do it. Jeez, this frame rate is terrible. I apologize. Come on. Haven't played KSP in a year. It's changed. A lot. Oh man, this is terrible. I am so sorry. Yeah, come on. Trims. You know what I didn't check? I didn't check the balance. Oh well. Gear up. Let's go. I know why the frame rate is so bad. Because just around here, there be a missile truck. And that's a Patriot launch vehicle that I built last night. So, let's just go to the Space Center and get that truck out of the way. Thank you, Nightbot. That's better. One weird thing about these prop engines is, although they've got the startup animation, they don't have a thrust curve to reflect that. That is so much smoother. One key to flying really well. Alt WASD gives you trims, so you don't have to constantly use SAS. You can just trim your plane to fly nice and steady, and then you don't have WASD, or rather SAS, constantly crossing your controls. Because normally, say in a right turn like this, you would add right rudder to coordinate. SAS always goes left rudder to try and keep the nose up. So you always end up in a weird, unbalanced, slipping turn. But if you trim and keep SAS off, you'll be nice and balanced. How high can it go? Well, let's have a look-see. Let's just go ballistic. Turn on SAS just to keep that heading. We won't get very high because we're only going at 70 meters per second, and we've got a thrust to mass of 0.8, so we will peter out fairly quickly. Although this is a 20-degree climb, so... This is not a bad Warhawk, if I do say so myself. Now, you guys can't see, engineer, because my face is in the way. Let's just put it over there. Much better. Well, we're still in a nice 20 meters per second climb rate. And there's 1 kilometer, so we're about, say, 3,000 feet? 3 or 4,000 feet or so. So this is the average altitude that these things fought at anyway. So it goes high enough. Now we've got to test the weapons. I put the guns on, didn't give them ammo or a fire control system, however. So, BD Armory, give me a box of 50 cals, thank you, and a weapons manager. Disarm, 5 missiles, next weapon, because this thing can carry bombs as well. But while we're in here, I'll set up flaps. Nice. Let's check the balance as well. Pretty damn good. Alright. Now let's actually test this thing up against an actual aircraft. More loading times. Alright. Scoot him off the runway. About there. And there we go. Back to the Space Center. Oh, that guy's still here. I don't know why, but the loading times at the runway are way higher than trying to load the craft menu from inside the hangar. So how y'all doing? Where's my Jindovic? There it is. Yep, KSP logic. Sounds about right. Alright, here we are. Boing. Nice little target drone. There we are. Autopilot engaged. So he'll take off out of that cradle. In fact, let's just get the Warhawk going. And we'll watch the Jindovic take off. This is actually real aircraft. It was designed and built by an Australian company, actually, for the British to test their missiles. There we are. So just straight up from the cradle. Alright, we're in the air. Let's just gain some airspeed. Now he's going to be heading for, yeah, 8 kilometers. Let's bring that down to, say, yeah, 1300. Alright, let's go. Select cannon. Ooh, yeah. 6 50 cal shells at a time. Love it. Alright, I think we're gonna have to take it easy. Oh no, he might just give us a shot right here. Hey, Mr. Jindovic, gonna give us a nice little shot? Don't know if you guys can see him, he's that little speck right there. And nice little spray. Now, need to take our time to get to the same altitude as him. Key in a dogfight is energy management. The higher you are and the faster you are, the more energy you have to spend on maneuvers. Alright, so we're about the same altitude as him. He's a lot faster than us, however. So we need to enter a tight turn to cut inside of him, which is going to spend our energy, in a sense, slow us down, but it will get us closer. We won't stay close for very long, but it should be just long enough to get a decisive shot off. Let's see. 1.5 kilometers. Please tell me we are closing. Yep, we are closing. Kind of slowly, but we are still closing. And this is really what dogfights in World War II were. They were about 15 to sometimes 40 minutes of just maneuvering, jockeying for position, then split-second gunfire, and someone's dead. So, oh, there we are. We have our guidance for our deflection shot. He's flying right into our sights. Just hold it there. Open fire. Boom. Splash one. And just because we can, let's fly through the bits. So let's see, what did I actually do to him? Cut a wing off. Yep. Cut a wing and the nose off. Oh, speaking of which, there's a wing right there. Oh, there's the rest of him. So, this thing's not too bad. Let's see how we go landing it now. Flaps. Gear. Down. Things are exploding. Lots of expensive noises. And let's pull out into a nice slow approach. There we go. Yeah, bounced. Nice. Chop throttle. Yeah, it's my favorite expression. I hear expensive noises. Nice. I will change that tail wheel, however, because that don't look right. And stop. The Curtis P-40 Warhawk, everyone! What say we switch over to 1.2 and try some boats? I say let's do that. So, launch 64-bit. Let's add game capture, KSP. Drop down below. Facecam. Cool. Now, we are building this. This is USS Ranger. One of the first aircraft carriers in the United States Arsenal. I love this new flavor text. Pressing red button. Beep! Red button pressed. Now everyone's dead. Yay! Start game. Zoom saved. Let's go. I already have one carrier out there. My old Nimitz design. But that one's kind of small and hard to land on. Alright. First things first. Lay down the keel. This is going to be a long boat. That's Probably long enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Limits was 4. This is gonna be 5. Finagle windows. God damn it. Yeah, whatever. I need to see the bow, but Twitch won't let me see chat at the same time. Oh well. Chat blind for a second. Sorry. And work with me. Fine, you can go back. And there. Empty that out. And now this piece. No. Like that. There we go. Holding Alt when placing things will also disable surface attachments, so normally you can place things on the side. If you hold Alt, it'll only go by the nodes. Very useful at times. There we go. So we'll start with the flight deck. It's positioned above the hull by a good distance. There we go. Alright, now I can move this back. There we go. You can see chat again. And there is something weird about KSP in that if I tried to place the entire width of the flight deck on just this root part and then copy it all the way down, the side pieces would for some reason have only radial symmetry, not mirror. So I have to place this basically centerline and then the rest. Pain in the ass, but less of a pain than having to work around radial symmetry. I'm trying to build something that is mirror symmetry. There. Nice overhang out over the bow. Right at the stern, I know my ships. Cap it off. Give me one more. Cool. That may look a little high at the moment, but trust me, it is going to be fine. So now let's just do a test. If I have these on like this. Yay, it's mirrored. Cool. There we go. There. And of course, there's this weird thing. I don't know why it does this, but I place it here. Actually, you know what? Let's reset. So yeah, it's placed with angle snap. So it's exactly where it needs to be. Rotate. Rotate. And it still does it. I don't know why it's offset by like tenth of a degree. Just is. It pisses me off. Anyway, you know what? Let's try and fix this. And there. It's not perfect, but it's more perfect than it was. And because we're going to be landing on this thing, struts are paramount. If I don't have struts on every part, weird things are going to happen when I try to land on this. This is probably really boring for you guys, and I apologize, but I just like building ships. Aircraft carriers especially. Almost there. Gotta build out the hull in the superstructure yet. This is just the flight deck. That'll do. And about here, the deck gets wider. And again, of course, it does this stupid thing. There. There. Actually, it's much closer to the bow. No problem. Yeah, it's about there. There. Nice. That is the Langley flight deck. All strutted to hell. Now, we can move on to the rest of the hull. Alright, and there. And like so. Cool. When building big things like this, it's best to strut as you go. Because the last thing you want to do is forget and then have to go digging through the whole thing to try and find that one little part that keeps flogging around. These will be the engines. Here we are. Cool. And just so they don't look quite as weird. Nice. Next trick will be building out the actual superstructure itself. This that we've just done here, this is just the hull. And that's the wrong part. There we go. There we go. It's a nice big wide hull on this thing. Gives it lots of stability. Big flight deck to handle planes. Oh, rudder is a thing that we need on ships, isn't it? I'm pretty sure. Yep, there we go. Nice. Rudder, 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 rudder. Of course, I don't have vessel mover installed on this, so rudder can't be too deep. Megastructures right here on Modern Marvels. You watch those shows too? Yeah, they can be good. Although they can also be really stupid. Alright, let's build out the island. think I know how. Here we go. Nope, a little bit too far. There we go. There we go. And once again. Yep, that's a good part of it. Nice. Now let's just strut that so it doesn't go flogging around when it's not supposed to. There we go, there's the lower part of the tower done. Come on, camera, obey me. About there. And land again. Guidance. Do for that bit. Don't need monoprop. Just duplicate that. There we are. I'm sorry if I'm not talking enough, but just getting into the zone of shipbuilding. That don't look right. Let's just do this again. Okay. This is not nice. This superstructure. That's about right. I'm sure this is a riveting stream at this point. Trust me, once I get this thing built, it will be better. Now the mast. That'll do. Nope, that didn't quite work. There. Nice. I mean, this thing is basically done here, but well, just look at all this stuff. You know what? I know things are getting boring at this point, so I'm just going to quickly get all the essentials. Wow, essentials in. Then we can see how she runs. Fair warning though, it is going to take a while to run this thing into the ocean. There we are. So that's all good. Now for the funnels. Funnels on the Ranger are quite interesting actually, because they can actually swivel to clear the flight deck. So under normal operations, they're pointed up, but once flight operations start, they'll rotate sideways so that the planes have a clear run. There we go. And just because I like drama, we'll add a little engine to each of them so that they will actually smoke. And of course, because we do intend to hold flight operations on this thing, actually, I've got a bit of an awesome idea. Now, we won't do that just now. But funnels bent sideways so that the deck is clear. For flights to commence. Next thing that's needed is a good keel. On all of my ships, the keel is these ore canisters. Because fuel, like normal liquid fuel like in these, it is buoyant in water. A keel of a ship needs to be negatively buoyant. At least in KSP it does, for it to work correctly. So the ore is very useful for that purpose, because the ore is negatively buoyant. Ta-da! I wish I had Kerbal Engineer. Alright. Now let's... Yep, those are all available to draw from. And I'm gonna stick a cockpit here, just so that there's somewhere accurate to control from. Yeah. Toggle flag, empty the monoprop. Sweet. Now to add the wheels. Is anyone even still here? Oof, you all buggered off because this is so boring. Wouldn't blame you. These are the wrong wheels. Triple wheels. Oh, boring because there's no music? Well, there is, it's just quiet. I'm sorry. Actually, I can fix that. Sorry for it's loud. There we go. How's that? There we go. USS Ranger. Oh, no control. Let's put jab there. Nice. Alright. Now comes the trundle down to the ocean. And rudder is clear. I think that's pretty good. Off stream, I'll fill it up with the necessary superstructure. But it's functional at this time. Wondering if it will fly? If I hack gravity, it will. Not for very long, but it will fly. Next chore will be to build an aircraft to try and land on this thing. It's actually quite a big vessel by Kerbal standards. Of course, there are some weird people that build things this big and send them to like lathe and things. Come on, brakes. Brakes. I should have applied brakes earlier. Yes, just like him. Those are weird people. Alright, things might break just now. Things are going to break. This is the fastest slipway ever. No! How did nothing break? That was amazing. Alright. Once it settles down. Tis a boat. Ah, boy. Normally I put ships in at, say, 3 meters per second. That was 40. Ah, boy. Alright. We're just going to let this thing settle and slow down. Actually, reverse thrust. I should have action grouped this, but First thrust. Because even though it doesn't look like it's moving, it actually is. Is this auto-strutted? Nope. Manual strutting. I haven't gotten used to the auto-strut function yet. Plus, it doesn't do what I want it to do all the time. It's like, it can't strut to adjacent parts, which is really annoying. I'm sure in the next update they'll change that to have an option to auto strut to adjacent parts. Because being able to do away with all these would be so nice. Alright, Space Center. Space Center. Thank you. Alright, so we have boat in the water. Now, let's build a plane to land on it. Now let's just do a quick mock-up. If we have a plane with this sort of fuselage, landing on the center line, what sort of wingspan can we expect? We can reasonably expect a wingspan of that. Okay. This is going to be challenging. Not that one, that one. Lots and lots and lots of wing area. So this is the max wingspan that we can have on this thing. Well, if that's the max wingspan we can have, then we're just gonna have to work with that. Ooh, idea! We are going to build a vampire analog. Come on. There we go. Cute little to have that vampire thing. And now we have to use the shitty landing gear. I hate this stuff. Adjustable landing gear cannot update fast enough. Stock landing gear is crap. It looks really weird, but this thing should work. Should being the operative term. Wow. You were gone a long time, Shield. You must have bought a lot. Right. I'm gonna do this just to get a little bit more wingspan. And some dihedral. So that should make it a bit more stable. Midget fighter. Hope this works. Alright. Let's just taxi off the runway. The engine should be powerful enough. Thing is, this thing isn't designed for speed, it's designed for slow flight. Whoa! See, I hate how skiddy these wheels are. Oh, did I? No, I didn't. Talk. Don't crash. Come on. Whoa! Alright. Yep. She flies. Shit. Alright. Easy. Alright. That's a good flying angle. Can I switch vessels while in the atmosphere? Do you mean to tell me the physics... Of course they did, because the game updated, god damn it! The physics thing... You can change the physics text file now to allow you to switch and operate separate vessels at the same time while flying around like this. So like, you can have... In this case, you could have the ship moving at full steam whilst flying the plane, so you could actually do it like a real carrier operations are done. But because the game updated and I had done those tweaks during the beta, they reset, so now I can't switch and get the thing going. Grr. Alright. Epic music. We're going really fast. We're going way too fast. It's too fast to land on the carrier, but too slow to actually fly. Alright. Let's just mush it about. I designed this thing to fly slowly. So let's fly slowly. Low and slow. Just cruising. Can't read chat right now. This is too hard to fly. Ah, I'm too low. I'm going to crash. Of course, this is accurate. Carrier landings are some of the hardest things an aviator can ever do. It would be easier if the ship was moving. Because of the land here, I can't do a nice wide circuit. Shit! Alright, slow down. Slow down, go down. Alright. Brakes on. Brakes. Alright. We're there. We're there. We're there. We're not there. We're not there. God damn it. The physics engage really close to the ship. And my frame rate tanks. Whatever. Let's just see how slow I can get this thing flying. Alright. And sploosh. Let's see. The part in front of the engine doesn't carry oxidizer. Just liquid fuel. And I already removed the monoprop from the cabin. So, water plane, indeed. Alright. Switch to... So, because of the physics slowing down and everything like that, it's mostly because I'm streaming. It would work quite well if I was not streaming. But as it is, I cannot land on this carrier. No, the small engine does not have thrust reverse, despite the model having clamshell reverses in it. It's something I really hope they fix. So let's just get the Ranger underway. I said let's get the Ranger underway. Let's go. God damn it, it's stuck. Oh boy. This is not how I was hoping the stream would go. Alright, you know what? 2 million years later. Or should I say, 2 million years later. We are still not going anywhere. So, let's get the midget fighter. Actually turn this into a viable amphibian, shall we? Forget landing on a carrier, that's just not happening. make a flying tower. I'll see if I can make this a decent amphibian first. But flying tower is a good backup. Of course, I'm going to need a more powerful engine if I'm going to make this an amphibian. There we go. How's the balance? Could be better. Just have to add wing pieces up here then. There we go. Better. And no staging. Sponsons. Pontoons, whatever you want to call them. Okay. Looks like they fixed the offset issues with these. Let's just hope they fix the suspension as well. Alright. This should be a decent flyer slash floater. Full speed ahead! Looks like they did fix these wheels. Oh, nice! See, now with the little extra wing, this thing's really cool. Whee! This is a cool little thing. I'm glad I built this. Alright, let's try landing on the water. We've got to slow down a lot first. Jesus, slow down, will you? Alright, fine. High G turn, which slows down really quick. Alright, there we go. Go nice and slow, and... Ow! It seems we do not float how I intended. Can we take off again? I doubt it. Oh, that air brakes. I don't think we're taking off. I think we're going deeper. Ah, periscope! Dive! 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 Maybe I can bounce it into the air? Maybe? Come on, come on. You can do it! Purpose! Fly! Yeah, I think she was right. Back to the drawing board. Not load, save, revert. More planes in the water than submarines in the air. You don't say. I'm sorry, that was actually quite a good one. Source for what, man? I've got an idea. These. Or to help keep my nose up. Alright, let's keep it slow. And this engine is very powerful. There's a lot of lift on this thing. There we go. Ease it in, pull back on the trims. Flare. And nose dive again. Oh no. That worked. Let's try this again. I think I know what my problem is this time. dealing with water and aircraft would be so difficult. What the? No. Well, something already blew up. That's great signs for things to come. I've been streaming for almost 2 hours. Not bad. Alright. Ease it in this time. Carry a little more speed. That's it. Easy. Sort of. Ease it up on the throttle. Let's just get it moving. Yup, that's too much power. Too much power. Whoa. Let's go, go, go. You can do it. You can do it. Easy does it. Take off already. Oh, yes, 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 yes. No. Yes! We landed and took off again. Amphibious plane. Because now the test is to land back on land. Easy does it. Right at the touchdown point. She will stop eventually. And we missed the taxiway. Because of course we did. Reverse thrust, perhaps? Reverse thrust? Perhaps! There we go. There you have it, folks. Amphibious plane. And on that note, if this thing ever slows down, god damn. Do the brakes even work on these things? They don't have brakes. Why? Man. Fine, just revert. On that note, I'm going to leave this stream here. Thanks for everyone who turned out and suffered through that building of the carrier and all that stuff. Hope you guys had fun. But until next time, I'm Scarlet. See you later. Night Shield.